Welcome to the 301 Podcast, the interview podcast for the hottest up-and-coming entrepreneurs, artists, and creators. Real, authentic, and inspiring. And here is your host, Marcus Engel. Let's get it started in 301.
Welcome back to the 301 Podcast. And if you can see us now, then you have found our new YouTube channel, because what changed in 2024 is that we have video and audio. So if you can see us now, you found our video channel, and I'm really happy about this. And we started you off with a very strong episode and with a very, very nice guest. We have Annabel Pieren here today. And before we start off and before we get into it, because she's the founder of Happy Squad, we start off with the most important things, because I know that a lot of people are listening right now. How can people get involved into Happy Squad, and what projects do you currently need help with, Annabel?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm happy you're actually starting with this, because otherwise people have to listen to all the story and then at the end they can only do something. Well, the thing is, you can actually join the Happy Squad by following us on Instagram. So it's just at the Happy Squad. Following us on LinkedIn, on TikTok. I'm getting into TikTok a bit. And eventually you can also join the Happy Squad app group. We're currently with over 600 people in it. We just recently hit 610. I haven't shared it with anyone yet because I was afraid like more than 10 people would leave and we would be under 600 again. But it's going great. So you can join via any of those channels. And we're currently trying to fulfill 16 dreams of people who got nominated because they had a really tough year. So there are a lot of people who lost their dear ones, a lot of people who went to a divorce. So people who could really have got to cheer up. A nice surprise to start their year off. We actually managed to fix quite some of the dreams. So for example, with Ajax, NAC Breda, but we're still trying to get in touch with Max Verstappen.
Max, if you hear this.
And Max, if you're listening, he is listening. We just have to think, Max, you're listening. So if you see this, contact me. So we're still trying to figure out some dreams, and you can find them on our channels as well. So hopefully by the time this gets live, we will have Max Verstappen. But if not, this is my final hope.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we will link also all the links, of course, in the show notes and in the video description. So if you don't have to search for it, it's all there.
You make it so easy for people.
I make it very easy for people,
Yeah.
but I'm also really excited about it. Hey, I read on LinkedIn actually like a really funny comment. Someone called you the nicest person on LinkedIn and maybe even the Netherlands.
Did someone say that?
Is that a title that you would like to have?
Oh, you're getting my eyes tearing up. Well, I don't know. I don't think I would deserve the title, honestly. It's nice to be perceived as nice. It's better than being perceived as a bad person, I imagine. I would never give myself a title like this.
No. So you're not changing your LinkedIn.
I'm not changing my LinkedIn.
Person on LinkedIn.
Also, because I think part of what I do is that I really want to stay true to who I am. So authentic. So claiming to be the most nice person doesn't feel that authentic.
Yeah.
And I think actually a lot of the people I come in contact with and help me, I'm just like the person who connects people. But at the end of the day, it are the people that help me get to, make people happy are the most nice people. I just give them a stage,
Yeah. You also mentioned that you had dreams to become the tooth fairy or like a veterinarian.
Yeah.
Are those dreams that you are still pursuing, or is it the Happy Squad all the way?
If I would really like to fly, like have wings, so a tooth fairy would still be up there. But for the moment, I think Happy Squad really is everything I'm dreaming of. So I think within the idea of the Happy Squad, I could even become a tooth fairy and surprise children. So this might actually be a really nice idea for a next challenge, dressing up as a tooth fairy. So I like this. This is already a lot of really nice for me as well.
It's like a creative brainstorm.
It's like a creative brainstorm. Yeah. So no, I think the Happy Squad it's actually everything I dream about at the moment. So that's really nice.
Super nice. How was growing up for you?
Amazing, actually. I was born in The Hague. It's a really international, busy city. Actually had a really nice childhood. I moved to Belgium. And I think that's where I did my kindergarten as well. I don't know. I think you're kindergarten, right? Yeah. So that was really nice. Met a lot of new people. And then we moved to Breda, the moment that's like in the southern part of Belgium, of the Netherlands. So I had to meet new people again because I didn't know anyone. So I think that's also, I moved around quite a bit, but I always liked it. So I think that's also part of why I like meeting new people and talking to people, because I had to make friends. And I just have the most loving parents, and my sister is amazing. We're like we never had a fight. I think maybe one time about Barbie or something, and I wanted to play with the Barbie, she wanted to play with the same. Yeah, my childhood was like amazing. I had amazing parties. I'm very aware of that as well, because I've met over the last couple of years a lot of people who haven't been able to have the same experience as what I have. So I think that might be part of why I really want to give people the experience I had.
Yeah, super nice.
Shout out to my parents if you're watching. They're probably
gonna
going to
watch it.
cry.
Yeah.
My mom's going to call me. She's going, I'm so proud of you. My father's going to give me like a handshake, like, good job. I think that's it. Yeah.
You think handshake?
Yeah. Well, maybe he will probably hug me as well, though. But he's
or like a nice shoulder tap.
Yeah. Yeah. You know I'm proud, right?
I'm proud.
Thanks. Yeah.
I did a good job.
I did a good job. Well, actually, I'm one of the things why I'm doing this is to make my parents proud. So if they say they're proud, then I'm like goal reached. So yeah.
That's interesting, actually. Yeah. Why is that? Like, why is it like an external?
Yeah, I think just because they gave me so much. They didn't have, well, they had an okay childhood, but they had some difficulties as well. So the fact that they like overcame those difficulties, whatever they may be in their own past and their own childhood, they decided to be the best parents possible. So I think I just want to make sure that they know they raised me as a good girl, you know?
Yeah.
So I just want to make them proud that they know like the way they brought me up was a good thing, and they don't have to worry about me. I don't want them to be worried. They are, obviously. Like, I quit my job to do this. So when you tell your parents that, they are obviously going to be a bit worried. But I just want them to know that I can do it on my own and everything will be okay, and that they can be proud of it.
Okay. It's quite interesting because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, or when you see like people that start things, they have like some sort of like troubled childhood a little bit, you know? So they had like difficult upbringing, or they were maybe like outsiders, and they want to kind of like prove to the world. And I find it quite interesting that you're like, it was wonderful.
It was literally, it was the best.
Yeah.
Every memory I look back on, like on my childhood, was amazing. And I think that's part of why I want to make it like amazing for them as well. And also, like I said, a lot of people don't have this. So yeah, I'm just really happy about it, and it drives me as well, but like in another way, I think.
Was it then for you always like kind of interesting, or like were you also that aware already as a child that you said like, oh, I have it like super nice, but maybe this child doesn't, so I'm gonna help the other children as well? Or was it not like
Well, I have to say I'm a little bit of a copy of my mom. My father as well, but my parents, actually, they were always like very open to help anyone. So I don't have a specific memory of when I was a child. Like, my memory is very fake anyway. I forget a lot of things very easily. But I think the part of the way they brought me up was really what makes me the person that I am today, who's very caring about others. And for example, my mom is someone who always worked in, well, a lot of times she worked for the government and in like the societal spectrum. I don't know how to say this. So she's used to doing other stuff for people as well. And she's someone who just goes to someone and gives them a compliment. So I've seen her do that like for ages. So I just copied her, and it's really funny to see how something that for her was just so normal, like, became my normal as well. And now it's my business to do that. So that's really, I think they influenced it a lot. And for my father, it's the same, you know.
Super nice. I want to shift gears a little bit because I think, I mean, of course, we said happy squad, I think now already 65 times.
Happy squad, happy squad, happy squad.
Is it like a brainwash for the
we have to say it 7 times, right? And then people will remember.
Exactly.
So
I think we're already there.
Yeah.
What is the Happy Squad?
So in short, the Happy Squad is a community of people who do challenges, I think around 2 times a month. approximately, where we do something nice for strangers or dear ones. So, for example, the first challenge we did, I think it was like 7 months ago, we just gave 3 strangers a compliment in 1 week. And imagine, like, I think at the beginning there were like 200 people in the group chat, so I think 50 participated. So that's a lot of compliments. But we try to vary the challenges much. So we also donated children's books to children who fled their country and came to the Netherlands. We also wrote cards to people who had a tough year or had something happen to them. So a lot of different things, which are the key of it is like to be very low effort. Because during my last years, I've been working for a lot of charities, a lot of companies who are trying to change the world, which is amazing. I've did a lot of volunteering, and there's just what really stood out to me is that a lot of people really want to help. I believe that there's a good thing in all of us, although there are really tough things happening, and I don't think everyone is a good person per se, but I think like the majority of the people really want to help and want to be nice to one another. And everyone's, at the end of the day, everyone's just looking for kindness, you know? So I just decided, like, for me, it's really like breathing almost. I do it on a daily basis, not to be like proud of myself, but like for me, it's very easy. So why wouldn't I help other people reach the same? And that's what I'm doing with the Happy Squad. So I just wanted to make it very easy for people to join the challenges whenever they want. So like not all the people in the group chat obviously have ever joined, but I always say, just join when you have time, when you feel like it. You don't have to even tell me about it, because I think that's also part of why it works. Is like they have no obligations to the Happy Squad whatsoever. They can leave, they can come in again. I saw people leave the chat and come back. They're people at their friends. It's like very easy to go to, because it has to be something you want to do. And not every challenge is for everyone, but as long as you do one challenge and it inspires you to do it more often, then I've completed my mission, I think. So that's what the Happy Squad is basically.
I think it's quite, first of all, it's amazing. I think it's a really cool thing to do. And I think it's exactly that is like sometimes difficult. I remember that, I think maybe it was 2 years ago, like during COVID, my fiance and myself, we were also saying like, hey, maybe we should give we have it really good. Like maybe we should give something back to society. And we were looking into like working homeless shelters and helping like pack food and those kind of stuff. But the times that they require people, it's impossible to do. Like between 12 and 3, between 9 and something. It's like, okay, but now I could do it, right?
Yeah.
But then like it was also like a time where I just had a 9-to-5 job, where it's not like, sorry, I need to do volunteer work, like, you know.
So that's also the thing. I think like society has to, well, I think we're on our way, you know, to shifting a bit where your boss actually would be able to say, oh, you want to do that? Well, great, take the midday off, you know. But like you're not the first person who tells me this, you know. That's actually how for a lot of people it's like this. There is an attention, and it's so sad if you cannot act on it because the circumstances are not right for you. Then you have so many people who want to do something, who really want to help other people, but they're not able to, for what reason or whatsoever. If it's their day-to-day job, if it's, you know, their agenda, their social agenda or whatsoever.
So we now know what the Happy Squad is.
Yeah.
Like, how did it start? Like, what was the initial spark, the initial idea of even getting it started?
Well, it's a funny story because on perspective, like looking back on my years as a student, even my childhood, I think, well, I don't believe in everything is meant to happen, but I have the feeling that this makes a lot of sense for me to do. What I said, because of ever since I was a child, a teenager, I've always tried to look after people, because of the way my parents looked to the world. I wanted to go into the creative agency world. They wouldn't have me. I applied for so many jobs. I think every application took me like even maybe 4 days. I'm I made like the insane things. One time, I sent like a how do you call it, a brick for building a house. I sent it to a company because I wanted to build with them on a better future. Stuff like that, you know. I did crazy stuff. I made like stuff. I made like a brochure, brochure through my life, but they just didn't want to have me. So
Their loss.
well, yeah, you know, I think at the end of the day, it wasn't like a match either because I found my way without them. But that was heartbreaking because I thought that would be my way to go. Changing the world with creativity is still my my dream. Like every job I had something to add to where I am right now and then I switched jobs to working at a startup where you could donate your skills for volunteering. So eventually our ways parted. Different views on how to, you know, things I made me happy weren't necessarily what was needed for the company. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I was devastated. I felt so insecure about my life as a creator. I think that was one of the lowest times I've ever felt because I tried everything I could, and to be honest, they didn't renew my contract. So I was heartbroken. I cried and I cried and I cried. I had some holidays that I could take, like you in the Netherlands, you have like days you can take off, and I had some spare ones. They actually doubled them, so that was really kind. And I was like, well, I don't want to go on a holiday. I've just been to Thailand, so what am I going to do? Well, let's try to do a week of volunteering, and that's as much as possible, because what you say, normally you don't have the time to do the things that would you be able to do during the day because you have a job. And now I had time, so I was like, well, why not? And I placed a call out on my LinkedIn page, and a lot of people responded like, yeah, we would love to have you. So that was like the best week I've ever had. That's also when people started reaching out to me online saying, wow, what are you doing? This is not, because what I said, I just came out of a period where I was totally devastated and insecure about what I could do. And then suddenly, like, I just started writing about the volunteering week just because I wanted to find a way to get volunteering. And then I was like, well, people obviously like to read it, so why not share my stories during the week? So when people started reaching out to me about like, how do you start volunteering? Can I join you? I was like, sure. And there were 2 people in particular that reached out to me that said, could I join you on one of the volunteering jobs? And I said, well, I will make an app group. So this is where we get to the Happy Squad. So I can make a WhatsApp group, and I will put you in there. We'll just be the 3 of us, and we could go one day together. So I made the group's chat. Well, next day I made a logo. I came up with a name. I actually came up with the mission we have, like a tagline, which is let's change the world with acts of kindness, or changing the world with acts of kindness. I came up with it together with them because I chatted in, we have to have something with kindness and changing the world. And she was like, well, this. So shout out to the first 2 members. And that's actually what started it. So just 2 people reaching out after everything that happened, me having the time to do the volunteering. I actually had a job not too long ago, but I quit because I wanted to pursue the things with the Happy Squad. So yeah,
in short,
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, imagine the long version is like 5 hours.
For me, there are a couple of things that really stood out while listening to you. One is for like a person that stands outside of your head.
Yeah.
It is totally not logical how everything makes sense. But I think when you are like on such a mission, for you, everything makes so much sense. I did this, I jumped to this, and then this was, of course, the connection.
Yeah,
and I like to help them, and then I went there, and then this,
But it's only like, the funny thing is, it's only looking back that I can add up all the things I've learned from. Because, for example, the startup where I worked, it was a tough job, you know, low budgets, high expectations. But that's actually all the experience I gained from doing so many different marketing things is why I'm able to do the marketing for the Happy Squad myself. And you see a lot of companies that start off, you know, they don't have that kind of skill set. So they have this great vision, but they are not able to translate it to content or to any way of promoting it. And so that's the part that adds up in that way, you know, the childhood the growing up to being kind to people, talking to strangers, the moving around a lot, which actually helped me to make it more easier for me to talk to strangers. And then of course to getting fired where there was a certain like amount of time, and then talking about so yeah.
Yeah, no,
To me it makes sense, but only looking back at the moment, I was just like, I think when something happens, I just chose to follow my guts, my gut feeling. So then I wasn't making decisions on like, okay, this is where I want to be, so I'm going to do this. So at that moment it wasn't making any sense. But as long as I always stay true to my feelings, so that's why it's now making sense. Like, oh yeah, of course I did that choice.
Of course,
yeah.
But it's also super cool because I think also from a marketing perspective, I think in like the startup world, look like you basically came up with your concept, with your value proposition, with your logo, with your tagline, with everything in the first 2-3 days.
It was
right?
like literally overnight.
Hours, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people like that want to start projects, and I think that's also like a really good way to follow. Of course, you need to do your research and blah, blah, blah. But I think that you understood immediately that there's such a big need for this kind of solution. They were like, okay, let's do this, and like you're set, you know?
Yeah.
Like you didn't change it. And
yeah,
I find
it's funny
that,
how you put it like that. Like, it's funny because in my head it feels like now I know it's like it's something I can be proud of, you know, that I have the skill. But like at that moment for me it was just like very logical, but in my mind it's also very difficult. So it goes very fast for the average person who is not into marketing, but in my mind I'm still a bad marketeer. You know, because I'm like, oh, it takes me so long, and I'm, you know, you have high goals for yourself. So well, it's funny to see how your brain works, because I'm looking every direction, as like I'm constantly picking up visual, having ideas like the tooth fairy we were talking about earlier. I'm probably going to get dressed up as a tooth fairy for carnival. Just because so it's really funny when you're finally free of anything like bosses that are not getting your full potential or anything. You just get so much more creative, and especially when you meet people who really want to share your vision on life, like the two people who texted me. Yeah, then like overnight a lot of crazy things can happen, because you're just so inspired by the people who believe in you, you know?
Yeah, and I think that you're also really modest. Like, if I come really from like this marketing like background, and I think you popped on my radar with the post on, hey, I want to do some volunteering.
Yay.
And you were holding up like this nice sign, took a picture, and I think that's also a little bit the red thread of you having like this nice sign. So like,
I was thinking
thank God you did art, you know? Like, I mean, like, thank God.
But it was really funny. I was actually thinking about if I would get another tagline, it would be like the girl with the box with the cards boxes thing.
And I found that like if you look also now at your posts and at your comments, at the shares, at likes and everything, like the engagement is insane. And it doesn't matter if it's like TikTok, or LinkedIn, or like, I think every creative agency is really regretting not hiring you, because like, no, but really, I think because if you would put this skill into another context, like, it's insane, you know, like use this creativity to tell stories, to like make it social, to make it like impactful, to make people care, right? And I find this like really insane. Like, have you ever thought about like now switching careers again, like to say, I'm really good at this, like maybe I should go back to a creative agency or something? Because
I did start freelancing as well. So the thing is, well, thank you first of all. That's, I think, one of the nicest things people ever said to me, so thanks. No, I don't think I would ever be able to work for never say never, you know, because I would have never imagined being here today as well, so you never know. The thing is, like, I really like the freedom my mind has. So not necessarily the freedom I get on a date, but like just I can literally do everything I want, you know? Every idea that comes to mind, I can do. There's no client I have to say yes or no to. But the thing is, I do see a lot of companies that are struggling with this part of sharing their mission. So I did decide to start freelancing. Also because there are just too many ideas to keep them to myself. For example, I recently started at a company called the Buurtboer, and it's really fun because they actually reached out to me via LinkedIn because they saw me standing with a sign which said, in Dutch it said, ik ben weer op de markt for freelance marketing and content creation, which translates, I'm back on the market for a freelance marketeer. And I was holding the sign while standing on the market. So they reached out to me and I just started working for them. And the thing what I like is that it actually really gives me another way to give back to the world, because the Happy Squad is really focused on people, the people kind. So being kind to one another, doing nice things. And the Buurtboer is really all about sustainability, local produced goods. So they actually they provide lunches for offices. So in that sense, I really like to work for clients because the client is so different from what I do with the Happy Squad. But still, it's a way to contribute, like, on a certain topic. So, but no, I don't think I'll ever go back. I like freelancing and having my own company so far, but then again, yeah, you never know what happens.
Yeah. In that week where you had multiple volunteering jobs, I think, so just that we get the timeline right, because I find this quite interesting. So basically, you do a post, it blows up.
Yeah.
You have thousands of people reaching out, hundreds of people reaching out to you.
Yeah.
You do the volunteering.
Yeah.
And then basically you go back and say, okay, now I have make a company, or like, what was this then the next step?
The thing was, like, the time between the post and the people reaching out to me was, like, I think 4 or 5 months. So after the volunteering, I was still jobless, I didn't have a job because I got fired. So then I started just, like, my weeks would consist of reaching out to people, trying to find a job. Eventually I did find a job. They actually found me again via, so this is the way things can fit in one another is insane, because I posted it. It got actually mentioned in a national newspaper, and that was read by a person that eventually hired me in the company I worked for. And I think in the first week I started in my new job, I think there were like 2 or I'm not sure what I said. My memory's bad. But there was some time in between, and then the people started texting me, and then there was like the app. So I think there was some time not knowing what my life would look like. Searching for a job. Anyone hire me? After the volunteering. But not too long, I think a couple of months.
That's amazing. Even though it is called the Happy Squad.
Yeah.
Like with every project, with every company, there are also like challenges and dark times.
Yes.
So how do you manage to overcome those challenges? Like, how do you make sure to stay like this energetic and happy that you are?
Well, it's funny because I actually had a chat with someone yesterday, and I said, it's weird because I feel so many highs. Like, I could literally cry of happiness. But because you meet people with so many sheet stories, like terrible stories, heartbreaking stories, these are also the times that make me the most sad. So I think that's like the most like, you have the business part of it, like, how am I going to be able to make a living out of this and still be authentic and focus on helping people? And there are a lot of things to think. I don't have a team. I'm finding some people that help me, and of course I have the squad members who are very helpful. It's amazing how they support me. So I don't see that as like the biggest challenge. I think I see the biggest challenge because I believe that we'll be fine. We'll get there. You have to believe it because otherwise it won't happen. But I think the biggest challenge is, how do you cope with meeting so many people who have stories that are so heartbreaking, And I think my way, I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with it. Like, it's still a business as well. So you're looking at it like, so that's the first challenge mostly. Like, how do you not take on the pain of people? That's one of, like, you couldn't be like a founder of the Happy Squad if you're not empathetic,
Yeah.
Like, if you wouldn't care about other people's feelings, you wouldn't be able to do this. But on the other hand, that's what you're like, what could you really sad and in your head. So I'm probably going to find someone who's able to help me with that part, like a coach or something up front, because now it's fine, you know. I still, because everything that happens has a good ending, so I can make them happy, you know. So there's a sad story, but I can make them happy together with the squad. But it's a challenge. Like, how do you? It's a very emotional, like, work environment.
Yeah.
And also, like, imagine we wouldn't be able to fulfill a dream. So what if there's someone nominated and you know their story and you're not able to help them? That's what makes you sad, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the other challenge is, because I have such a marketing background, is how do you stay authentic while sharing content? So I've talked about this online as well, because for me, making content is really natural. I just like it. It's a way for me to be creative. I would really like to make a documentary one day. So editing TikToks or Reels is really what I love. But as soon as you have such a delicate story and you share it online, is it authentic, or is it a way for me to get famous? Like, that's basically my mind. That's why I have sometimes I have tough nights sleeping, because tough time sleeping, because you're constantly debating, like, can I share this online? Do I look like a fake? You know, what will the people think of me? And so it starts to get like easier along the way, because the way I see it really, really helps getting the story across. And the amount of people that get inspired by seeing the content is amazing, you know? And I think that's eventually where I see content as a way to share the story and inspire people. And it's not for me, you know. I I get paranoid thinking people recognize me, and it happened a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, hi, thank you. Very awkward about it. So, but that's like the biggest challenge. So I think the biggest challenges are like more within me and how I cope with it and how I stay true to myself instead of the company part, because there are so many people surrounding me who want to help me fix that problem. But the problem in me is, you know, I can only fix it myself, or fix it like.
Yeah. That was actually also one of the questions, and interesting enough that I wrote down, like, you know, where's the line between like exploiting a story
Yeah.
and
You chose a very hard word there, but yeah, that's basically
but telling a story, right? Because I mean, if you watch TV and there's like a donation for UNICEF or something, like I'm pretty sure they would also like to show maybe like the landscape and like some nice pictures from Africa, like what they do. But of course, they have to tell the sad story about the child that doesn't have anything to eat, and look at it, like it's all like thin and everything, right? And please donate because she needs to eat.
Yeah. So the way I look at it is like, as long as the person that is helped profits from it, for me, a lot of goes. Like, you see a lot of people who are also like, for example, I don't know what his name is, but he's like filming a lot of homeless people on the streets. And a lot of people are like, it's funny because the more views he gets, like on the less viral posts, people are very supportive. But as soon as it goes viral, which is a lot of times the case, then negative comments start to get in of people who don't even know the guy, you know, so they don't know his story. And even then I'm like, well, the guy who's homeless, his life changed, you know. He has a house, he has teeth, you know. Why are we so focused on, you cannot film it? Because the reason he films it is because he knows it gets money to help the person. So I think, I don't know what the line is exactly. I'm still figuring it out myself, but I think, yeah, as long as you help people, at the end of the day, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
And as well with charities, for example, well, I worked at one, so I know what the scenery is like. You know, people, you need money to help people. So, and people don't donate when they see, well, they can if you share a nice story, of course, but like most of the time, people will just donate when they feel, when they're touched, you know. So I think it's all about being able to touch people emotionally. And then just as a creator and a company owner, thinking about what feels right for you. So I'm also doing volunteering where I don't film. So I have one guy in my neighborhood is really lonely. He actually thought about, well, ending his life. And I'm one of the few people he knows. But I also, well, I did make a video about him one time, but it was like way up front. And these days I'm just like, I think it's too delicate of a story. He doesn't really understand social media, so I won't do anything about it. And as long as I keep that balance in my life to also help people and not film it,
Mm.
I think I'm fine with my
Yeah.
own. But it's
Yeah, I think it's probably also difficult to have like a general like rule, like that's the rule, like that's where we draw the line. I think it's also like really depends, like so case by case.
Yeah,
But
and
I do
also,
find it always like difficult, you know, like what you show, what you don't show.
what you don't
Yeah.
show. But I also think it's just try, you know. I just try, and as long as the majority of people is happy with what I share and are inspired, and I've got messages from people saying, "Oh, I'm going." Like, for example, the friend, I met a friend while doing volunteering. He used to be homeless. I shared his reaction on TikTok, and well, I don't know. I don't like to use the word viral, but it got good grades, you know. And he actually, some people responded like saying, "Oh, I'm going to send him a card as well," because I surprised him with Christmas cards written by other people. So then
Can you tell a story? I think it's a beautiful story.
Of Olaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to love that I mentioned him. So while doing the volunteering, one of the people that reached out to me on LinkedIn was like, "Well, we have a coffee house in Amsterdam, and we provide homeless people with work, and in exchange they get a bit of money and like food." And so I walked in. And the weird thing is, I felt a bit intimidated at first. There were all men, could be women as well, but there were all men. They looked a little bit rugged. Didn't look at me like, hello, welcome. How was your day? You know, they were tough to crack. And then I walked up to the like where I was supposed to be cooking, making them lunch, and there was this one guy wearing a cap, glasses, and he was like much like me, like very energetic, looking around. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're coming to visit us today, right? You're helping." Yeah. Well, I'm Olaf. Well, I'm Annabel. But we just kept in touch. So he really liked walking. He was active on Instagram, so we talked via that as well. And then one day we decided to meet up again, just because I was curious about his life. You know, he was very open about it as well. His story is also online on the website of the coffee house. And then we just stayed in touch. So I immediately knew that when it was Christmas, he doesn't have that many. Well, he has some friends because he's a very lovely person. So I think everyone who meets him will immediately fall in love with him. But he hasn't been able to meet a lot of people outside of the places where he works. So I was like, well, he's not going to get a lot of Christmas cards. So I went to a New Year's event, and I actually asked them could I bring a box and would I be able to ask the people who are there to write their Christmas card. And I was very nervous, you know. I was like, "Oh, are people going to write something?" I bought like loads of Christmas cards, way too much, but people actually started to write. I actually took the box, and then I invited him for dinner. Then I said, "Well, Olaf, I'm going to put my camera here because I actually wanted to film this because I wanted to show the people who participated how he would react." So I was like, "Well, let's just get it over with. I'm going to put my camera over there." He was like, his reaction was priceless. He was like, what I said, most talkative person ever. And he actually said, "This is the second time you're getting me like speechless."
Yeah. I mean, talking still about the thin line, I think the problem is, of course, the people that the keyboard warrior that never have probably done anything nice for anyone, but who would say, "Oh, like you're exploiting a person," blah blah blah. How can like, or what do you think are like easy ways like how people can make like a positive impact on other people?
Join the Happy Squad. I would say like what for me is the smallest thing, but is sending people messages via WhatsApp that I'm thankful for them. So I think starting within your own circle of people is the easiest way to go. And also because the response you get from people just by saying, "Hey, random message, I appreciate you, I'm very thankful," or you can call them even. The way people react is amazing. And I think if you try to incorporate that in your life, you can literally see that something as small as sending a message can change someone. And also, yeah, just talking to people on the streets, smile to people on the streets, and you will see you get a lot of nice reactions. So it's just like starting really small, and then later on you can build up to maybe volunteering or anything else. So I think my biggest tip is start small and close by. Yeah.
I slowly want to bring it to an end. I think we have like really an amazing conversation.
Could go on for hours.
Could go on for
Yeah.
a long time. How do you see like this project with Happy Squad envision, and how do you see like kind of like the world also maybe like getting a better place with it in it?
So the color I use is yellow. So I have a saying, I want to turn the world yellow. So I want to make the world happy. So if my ambition is changing the world with acts of kindness, obviously my first thing, one of my biggest dreams is to go abroad. So how I see it, that every country will end up having their own Happy Squad in any way possible. And I think the low-key character of the Happy Squad, it's just a chat. And we have social media, so there's no strings attached or anything, makes that possible. So I imagine having a Happy Squad in Germany, in the UK, in India, in Indonesia. So everywhere around the world, people are just making other people happy. And I imagine also, like, for example, we could do worldwide challenges. So the challenge where we started with, like, give a stranger a compliment. Let's all do it on the 1st of January worldwide. And then you might have hundreds of thousands of people who are giving one compliment to a stranger. All over the world. I think that's when you could really change the world. You just want to change the way people look at the world.
And I think I fully agree. I think the moment it's low effort, like it's, like how much effort is it to write a Christmas card?
Yeah.
Like it's maybe 10 minutes of your day, but like, the more you have to do, like if you have to travel somewhere and do this or whatever, like I think there's always going to be like hardcore users that say, oh, I want to meet up and I want to do this and
you
all
just
this
have
kind
to
of
make
stuff.
sure, like, that's also the thing. I can also see right now I have people who are very committed. I have the community I have, they're the best, every time I'm in doubt, or even when I'm sad, or even when I launch a challenge, I share it with them up front, and they're just like the most supportive ever, and it's like a core group. So you see different like variations of the way people participate or what kind of challenges, but that's the thing. If you have something for everyone, then there's always something you can participate in. And even if not, even if you would read all my messages a year and then maybe over a year, that's fine with me as well. As long as the fact that people follow what you're doing and are inspired or might be inspired, that's already one step further than where you were as well. You had the thought, I want to do this, but some people don't have the thought yet. So
and even if someone is just a participant, it helps you again to sell it to maybe companies or to people,
there is a
to say,
business
like,
aspect as well.
Look, I have 600 people, and even if they're not active or something, like I mean, it's the same with followers as well, right? Like the more people are around, like the bigger
things you can do. So I'm also looking, but I'm also looking at ways to indeed be able to make a living out of this. But the most important thing for me is if it's not possible in another way, but I don't want to make money off of the volunteer squad members. So but there are way other ways you can make money with the Happy Squad and then give it back to the Happy Squad as well. So we'll be fine.
A lot of things change, of course, on 301 podcast, but one thing didn't change: the 3 last questions that we ask every guest. And the first one is, what are you not good at right now and you want to become better at?
Well, coming on time. No, I think really, time management might be a thing, because there are so many things to do, so many things I want to do. I could be up until 5 a.m. working on things. On the other hand, I don't really mind, but it's like I'm late today. So that's something I'm not too good at.
Okay. What name would you give this chapter of your life?
Me. Yeah.
And
it sounds very not like it's all about me, but like I'm finally I'm doing everything I wanted to do. And just by being me, I'm being able to help other people. So me. It sounds very like
selfish. But it's not.
I don't mean it in a selfish way. I was like, me. It's all about me.
Me time now.
Yeah.
And the last question is, if you could send an SMS to all mobile phones in the world, what would you say?
What would I say?
Or what would you write?
I think Well, there are some people I wouldn't. Let's say focus on the people, the nice people. All the people.
All people that have a mobile phone, they get an SMS.
Well, I recently read a really nice quote, and it said, "If you go back far enough, all humankind are cousins." I would probably send that.
Okay.
I don't
Very
know who
nice.
it's from. I didn't remember, but it really inspired me. So I think that because that's in a sense, in what story you believe, I think that's true.
Super nice. I had a really good time, Annabel. I think we talked about a lot of really cool topics, going a little bit back into your childhood, like your life, how everything makes sense to lead
for
you,
me at least,
to lead you to this destiny, and I think also like what you're meant to do in at least in this time period of your life.
Yeah,
I think you have really found something very valuable. And
thank you.
Very
Dankeschön.
happy and looking forward to see how this unfolds, because I think your group is gonna grow massively in 2021.
Well, we are only allowed to have 2,000 people on WhatsApp, so
then you can go to Telegram. So
yeah, I can switch. So yeah, thank you. Well,
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. I liked it.